Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to do a box opening of a game that's not absolutely new, but it is relatively. It came out at the end of 23, and well, I'm going to take a look in the box. So I actually got Downfall, The Conquest of the Third Reich, and it's by Chad Jensen and John Butterfield. And a very unique playing game, so it's kind of a cool game, put out by GMT in 2023. And in addition to that, I also received the mounted map, which we will look at with the box opening here. And I appreciate GMT for sending this to me. For those of you who watch the channel, you'll know that we'll probably soon have some really nice counter trays to fit inside this and put everything back in the box once you're done playing. But for right now, let's check this out. So here are the two boxes. The mounted map comes with a nice 3-inch box, looks exactly the same as the box that the game comes in. Everything's identical except for the size of the box here and all of the information on the back. So we'll set this off to the side for a little bit. And we'll take a look at this box right here. And Downfall is a 2-player game on the conquest of the Third Reich in World War II. One player controls Western allies and the other Soviet unions in their joint effort to destroy the Axis through. Players compete for victory in victory that favors their dominance in post-war Europe. So basically, the American alliance coming this way, the Soviet alliance, the Soviets are coming this way, and they're trying to figure out who's going to control what part of Europe at the end of the war. The Western player commands the Western faction led by the United States, United Kingdom, and also commands the OKH faction, which is the Germany faction that's on this side of the map, hindering the Germans, or hindering the Soviet, I should say. And the Soviet player commands the Soviet faction and the OKW faction that the Axis army fighting the Western Allies. That's the Germans that are on this side right here, or the German, the Axis side, that's over here, fighting against all the Americans coming in this side and here. So, Downfall begins at the high water mark of Axis expansion in 1942 and ends in 1945 at Germany's surrender. The player controls land units, air units, partisans, fleets, and submarines in this titanic struggle. With both players commanding factions on opposite fronts, each must launch offensive and conduct desperate defenses. Gameplay is driven by Downfall's innovative initiative track, which is rather cool. The faction with the initiative chooses an order marker, pays the initiative cost by advancing their marker along the track, performs the order, then the faction with the initiative on the updated track chooses the next order. Progression on track also triggers strategic events, change in weather, and advancement for game turn. So you do have event cards. We do have event cards here. We have action cards. We do have weather that affects everything here. These are some of our counter pieces, and you see that they have little pips here, and that tells you the strength, and some have stars, and that tells you elite units and things like that. So rather an interesting game, and these are the initiative chits here, the order markers. And so the game consists of 22 by 34 map sheets that abut to form one game map. They form a very large map of Europe. 351 cardboard playing pieces on 3 die-cut sheets, which we'll see in a minute. 110 playing cards. 1 rule book. 10 8.5 by 11 player aids. 4 6-sided dice. 2 players, 6 to 12 hours, depending on if you're playing the campaign or not. Complexity is a 5. Solitaire suitability is a 4. Ages 14 and up. So let's take a look on the inside here and see what we have. And like I always say, GMT boxes are some of the best out there. They have a snug fit. Okay, so the first thing we're going to start out with, and we'll put this off to the side, is Downfall is the rule book here. And we have a rule book that goes up to 44 pages. The back page is a map key. And we have designer notes at the very end here. We'll start at the front. And it says here, disregard rules marked by naval orange if playing the Overlord scenario. So there are 3 scenarios that you can play in this. And One is, of course, the entire campaign. You have the Overlord, and then I'm trying to remember what the other one is here. Husky scenario, that's it. So, we start out with the glossary of common terms. Actually, I think I skipped a page. Introduction, course of play. Then a description of the map, which has all kinds of player aids built into the map itself. So the map, becomes quite a large player aid. And goes and talks about some of the movement here: restricted hexes, hexsides, national borders, victory victory tracks, map keys. And then we have the playing pieces, all the playing pieces here. Talks a little bit about the zone of control, partisan units, air units, how they stack up in the game. Have naval units here. And then order markers. These are the orders that you get, and by pulling them are going to affect the initiative. So that's going to put you further down the initiative track there. And then we have the cards. We have the event cards here. And then we have action cards. And then you set it up for play, how the initiative works. Action bounds. Covers a couple, and you can see the action track here. And it talks about how the events work and how you work through your action tracks and your orders. Orders again, some more on that. And then redeployment op order, talks about on this one. Attack ops, redeployment ops. So this goes through all of your orders, your various orders with some diagrams here. And then land combat procedure on this page. Naval interception and sea attacks. Resolving events. Supply, and all the units have to stay in supply. New term procedure, victory. Overlord naval supremacy. Sorry about that. And an example of land combats, applying hits. And then, of course, you come to our designer notes, which I started with, which I should have. But that's what we have here. So that's your rule book there. So you actually do have a little bit of reading to do, but a lot of it is diagrams, and, not all the pages are full. So you have 37 of them that you complete. And then we come to all of our player aids here. So let's see. Quite a few here, so let's pull these on out. So these two right here are your main player aids, and they have your land combat, and then your land combat table, naval interception and sea attacks over here, die roll modifiers, strength modifiers, as I pull two of these. And then here we have our move cost, zone of control, stacking limit, land hex control, air unit supplies, partisans, partisan warfare order. And so this is all covered in the game. And so these two, each player gets one of these, and this is going to help them out. Now at the beginning of the game, we have all of these here. Let me see. We'll take these two out. All right, well, let's look at these first. So these are your Western orders, and your setup of the Western orders, and the OKH orders. So if you're the Western, you have these are your orders here, and then you have your OKH orders here. And then if you're the Soviets, here are your orders here, and your OKW orders here. So, it has little notes here, reseed, all of that, and strategic warfare. So one player is going to be obviously looking at this side, and the other player is going to be looking at this side of these two player aids here. Now these aids here, these are more for setup. So let's see, campaign game, campaign game. So you have 4 setups for the campaign game here. And this is the OKH faction here. And this is the OKW faction here. So these two are going to be used to set up for the Soviet player right here. And it tells you what cards you get to draw pile, the action cards in your hand, order track here, action pool, reinforcements, Soviet force pool, and it gives you a location where all of this stuff is going onto the board. And the same way here. And it talks about the event cards, which ones are going to be there and which ones are going to be first up. And this again is for the campaign game. And the same thing here with the Western Alliance marker. They're going to play the OKW, which is going to be... oops, wait a minute. I think I have these wrong here. Yes, this is the Russian, because they have the OKW faction. So they're going to be, these are going to be attacking the Western Allies. And then this one, the OKH, this is going to be attacking the Russians. So the Western Alliance controls these guys, and then also they're going to be controlling these guys coming in from the west. So you basically have the Soviets and the Western Alliance all coming in to Germany to try and get to the middle. And of course, you're going to have the German forces here, or the Axis forces here, fighting the Westerners controlled by the Soviet player, and the Axis forces here fighting the Soviets controlled by the Western forces. So it's kind of a cool concept. So these are all your setups. And then, like I said, you have different games. So here's, this one is the Overlord, Husky. And then we have two more Overlords. And again, here's the Western, here's the Soviet, and the Soviet is going to control the OKW, which is going to be fighting against the Western group, and the Western group is going to be fighting against the Soviet group here. I should put them in the direction that they are on the map. And again, they talk about the card setup, all of your layouts for this, for all of the pieces. And then if we flip over these, we have Husky, and the campaign, and then we have the Husky scenarios here. And again, the same idea. You have all of your setup pieces here, where they go, all of that. Okay? So, these are your starting hexes and starting, basically your game start information is on all of these cards right here. And then we have our first sheet here, and this is sheet number 1, and we'll get as close as we can here without getting glare on it. Sheet number 1 here, and we have, you know, counter sheet is the front here, and this looks like most of the Western, and on the back side, and you see that some of them have back side, some of them don't. And then we have the axis, and we have I'm not sure which color is the Western, which color is the Eastern side, but there's one side and then there's the other right there. So one, the Americans are going to be playing one, the Soviets are going to be playing the other. That could be reversed, because I don't know which color is which actually at this point. And here's the back side of counter sheet number 2. A very unique playing mechanics on this, which I kind of like. You're playing to conquer, and then you're playing to also defend. So it's kind of cool. And here are all the Soviets. And the front side of that, and the back side of that right there. And you can always pause that there. Here are our 2 maps, which we will look at in a minute. They are rather large, so you're going to need a good sized table for these. We'll look at that in a sec. Of course, we have our plastic bags. You cannot have, you know, game without plastic bags. And the dice, we have red and green dice, so that's kind of cool, like the dice in there. And they're nice quality dice, as always with GMT. And then here are our action cards, our event cards, Soviet action cards, Fate there. So these are all right here, and of course you're going to have I believe 3 decks of event cards. You're going to have the Soviets, the Axis event cards, and the Western event cards, or action cards. Just say they're all action. So yeah, the American, the Western action, the Soviet action, and the Axis action, and then you're going to have some event cards that will control what's going to be happening in the game entirely. So those are our cards, so we'll put that back in here, and we'll just set all of this off to the side for a sec. All right, let's take a look at the map, see how much of that I can show you. I'm not so sure I can show you a whole lot of it. So this would take up my entire table here. So this is the Soviet Union is coming in this direction across the map, and you can see that up at the top here we have you have weather periods here. You have your initiative track that follows around here and down here, continues on the other map there. Soviet and OKW force pool there. And then you have your draw pile, your event, and your discard pile. And these again are going to be your event cards that control what happens, you know, what you're playing. And then the weather here is going to be dependent on where the initiative is for the weather over here. And the Western and OKH force pool is down here. And we have the Eastern Mediterranean, Greece here, Bulgaria, Romania. And then this map would fit this map would fit right next to this map here. And again, sorry I don't have the room to show you all of it, but you get the idea. So they would fit together. Then we have the rest of our Europe map here. And down at the bottom of this section, we have North Africa over here. And let me move this map off to the side if I may. So this western part of the map, we have the Western OKH orders, and then we have the Western orders here, and Western and OKH orders right here. So these are what the Americans or the Western allies are control. I keep saying Americans, but really this counts for the British, the Canadian, the Americans, all of that. And you have Africa right there. And this is the objective track right here, coming across here. This is your action track there, and victory track. Siege of Malta, that plays into a little bit of an abstract way. Battle of the Atlantic here. And then marker area, pending area. And then here's your turn track. And each time it goes through all three of the weathers periods, then that changes over to the next turn here. And you can see that we go from November 8th, 42 to May 45. Strategic bombing up here, and your initiative track that starts here and works through here. And you see that we have different events that happen for different groups as you pass along up there. Oh, you're not even seeing any of that. Good job, John. So we have initiative track here, and we have the start, and we have some different events that you pass through as the initiative continues on. The weather period covers a certain area. Then you start weather number 2, which moves over here. So the first part is snow, 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 a lot of that. Fair, mud, wet, fair. So as you get through all the weather track, you go on to the next turn until you complete the campaign here. All right. And the Reich's industry here. We even have Norway up there. Look at that, Denmark. So let's get this folded back up. As I said, I've also received the 3-inch Downfall box, which includes the mounted map inside, which let's take a nice look at that. Again, a large map, very good quality, nice thick map. Look at that, that's really a nice thick map. So, let's see how we stack up here. You know, I was never good at folding up maps in the car when we used to have the nice big maps, and I'm still just as bad. So good quality map, nice smooth surface here, excellent printing on it. I mean, it really is a nice looking map, nice and thick. I mean, this is the nice thing about this is that the edges would have to go off my table a little bit, so this map would allow me to play this entire thing on the table here, at least on this table where it has the paper map would not. And again, exactly the same map. All of the stuff is exactly the same, except it's a nice solid mounted map. And here we go, look at that. Who said you can't teach an old dog new tricks? So here's the top part of our mounted map. And again, the same stuff here. Really, God, you know, it's worth it to get the mounted maps, I think. You know, but that's me. I mean, not everybody believes that, but you know, I started when games always came with mounted maps, so I'm kind of biased on that. But this is a nice mounted map. So we'll put this back in the box here, and we'll put our other maps in here. Okay, so there's the box opening of Downfall, Conquest of the Third Reich. This is the game itself, the 3-inch map here. Now, I have both these, and I'm going to be making counter holders for both boxes. So I'm going to make one for those of you who don't have or want to have counter holders for just your game. And for those of you like me who wanted the mounted map, we'll have a nice counter holder for that. So that's going to be in the works very, very soon. Okay, so thank you very much for checking out Downfall box opening with the mounted maps. And I look forward to having you around in more videos. So please do like and subscribe. That helps out the channel quite a bit. It doesn't cost you anything. If you hit the bell notice, you'll get notifications every time I have a new video. It'll pop up in your feed, say that, you know, hey, this guy's got a video. Want to watch it? You can click on it and watch it, which I always appreciate. Other than that, I hope you have a great gaming day, and we will talk to you soon.